And they had no search warrant when they took Annie Mae. They handcuffed her and shackled her. And they treated her very mean for a woman to be treated. They told her that if she didn't quit having an attitude that she was having, fighting for her Indian people, that she would be dead within a year. The FBI told Annie Mae that.
I woke up hearing someone saying, "Let's cut it. Cut open the tent." And I tried to get out before they cut it. 2 FBI agents handcuffed me and told me to stand with the women. They put me in a car and took me to the federal building in Pier. The agents kept calling me by name, implying that they knew me and had been looking for me for a long time. They threatened me with deportation and said I'd be shipped to Canada that afternoon. They think they can throw everyone in jail, and that will be the end of the problem. But jails aren't a solution to problems. Then they asked me questions about the June 26th incident in Oglala. I told them that I wasn't in Oglala that day. They were trying to find the killers of the FBI's. No one was looking for the killer of Joe Stunts. But they kept asking the same questions over and over about Dennis Banks, Leonard Peltier, Frank Blackhorse, and Bob Robideau. Finally, I told them, "You can either shoot me or throw me in jail. That's what you're going to do with me anyway." And I put my head down on the table and refused to answer anymore.
Agent Price told her that he knew that she wasn't present on June 26, 1975, when the 2 FBI agents and Joe Stunts were killed. But the FBI felt that she had information as to who was responsible and, in fact, what happened.
The federal government's persecution against the AIM people has been total. The death of Annie Mae is one example. We look at Leonard Peltier, who was another member of the group, who was serving 2 life sentences in the Marion Federal Prison in Illinois. They say he's there because he murdered FBI agents, but this is not true. This is not so. This is not a fact. It has never been proven in a court of law anywhere that those agents were murdered. Never been proven that they were murdered. Killed, yes, but there's a difference between murdering and killing. Sometimes people must kill in self-defense, but murder is an overt act of aggression when you impose death on someone who was totally innocent, who had nothing to do to warrant their death. Their death is unjust. That's murder. Peltier's co-defendants, Butler, Robideau, and Eagle, they were all charged. They were indicted together as having equally participated in this aiding and abetting. Butler and Robideau were acquitted in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and Jimmy Eagle had charges dropped on him. And Jet Peltier went to prison. So we understand the nature of Peltier's political imprisonment.
David Price, Bill Wood, and other agents of the FBI actively created Myrtle Poorbear, first as a witness against Leonard Peltier, who had been accused of the murder of, or the shooting of 2 FBI agents on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in July of 1975. They brought Myrtle Poorbear into their office and had her sign a series of affidavits describing in great detail how Myrtle had witnessed the murder of the 2 agents, Mr. Williams and Mr. Kohler. Of course, at this point, the United States Attorney's Office now admits that Myrtle wasn't present, that all of the evidence consisting of many, many witnesses and a huge volume of physical evidence indicate Myrtle was not present, and that the affidavits were completely contrived.
Finally, I signed the papers they wanted me to sign. I didn't know what they were about. See, they told me it was to be released from the program. And I found out later on that it was papers they used to extradite Leonard Peltier back from Canada. So I didn't know anything about it till I went to court in Fargo, North Dakota. I didn't even know what those, the affidavits had in them. I didn't even know they were affidavits till I got to Fargo. They held me in motel rooms. I can tell you I've been all over the United States. From one place to another. I had security guard 24 hours a day. It was really awful. I was in protected custody when they found Annie Mae Aquash's body on the Pine Ridge Reservation. And I don't know Annie Mae. I don't know her. I don't know how she looks. But they took me down to the morgue and they showed me Annie Mae Aquash's body. And they said that if I wasn't, you know, willing to go along with what they do, then that's how I was going to be laying, like Annie Mae. And Dave Price told me himself that he knows who killed Annie Mae. And he said that if I didn't listen to him, then they were going to do the same thing to me. They also used to show me pictures of the FBI agents, so 2 that were killed in Oglala. They used to show me those pictures before I go to bed. And they used to ask me how it felt to be present there. They try to, you know, work my mind in a way where, you know, I'll make myself believe that I was there and I saw all the shooting, but I didn't.
People that were affiliated with AIM and the traditional people that were murdered, imprisoned on trumped up evidence and charges. The whole struggle in general proves the fact right there. I'm a political prisoner. We're still struggling for our self-determination, our sovereignty, our nationhood. Annie Mae and myself, we were always talking to the elders. No, there was one time, I don't know if you want me to tell that though. You know, it's our tradition to have dog soup during one of our UEP ceremonies. And we went to a ceremony one time and we had dog, you know, but it's after the ceremony, see. And we were coming back, we were walking back, and me and Annie Mae, Dino, Neelock, I think Gene Day was there, myself. Anyway, Annie Mae says, man, that was good pork we had, you know. And I said, pork? I said, that wasn't pork, man, that was dog. She said, no, that's pork. But she swore up and down it was pork, you know. And he teased her about that for days, months. I'm a prisoner of war. And depending on the justice system to give me some fair justice, which I didn't receive at my trial. I have over a dozen irreversible errors. There was no evidence, no eyewitness evidence. There was some very weak circumstantial evidence that I was convicted on. And I'm depending on my people helping me receive some justice. Occasionally I realize that it comes to me, I guess, that I'm doing 2 life sentences and I'll never go home again. But I try not to think of that.
Going by to the land I love, going by to where the truth began. Back to the land I left behind, back to the pride that I must find. Leave me alone. Can't you see I'm going home? Going back, and there I'm gonna stay. Going back to try and find the way back to the land I left behind, back to the pride that I must find. Leave me alone. see I'm going home? Back to the mountain and the prairie, back to the desert and the hills, catch up to the buffalo, and where the rivers flow. Going by, and there I'm gonna stay. Going by to try and find the way back to the land I left behind, back to the pipe that I most find. Leave me alone. Can't you see I'm going home? Can't you see I'm going home?
Wednesday, November 19, 1975. Hi, sister. How are you?
I am fine,
and
but I'm sure you will be surprised to hear I'm in jail in Vancouver, Washington State. I was arrested Friday night, November 14th, in Ontario, Oregon, along with Kamuk Banks, Bruce Redner, and Kenny Loudhawk. We were traveling in a station wagon and mobile home. Kamuk and I were in the mobile home. They shot up the windshield, and they handcuffed us behind our backs and made us lay face down on the interstate highway, although Kamuk is 5 months pregnant. They fired over our heads at a man they said was escaping over a fence. They were looking for Dennis Banks and Leonard Peltier. They said we were carrying dynamite, but the newspapers have pointed up a lot of holes in the FBI story. Then they couldn't find the evidence. Now the police say it was destroyed. They're sending me back to Pierre, and I know I'll be sent up. South Dakota is a very racist state. My efforts to raise the consciousness of whites that are so against Indians was bound to be stopped by the FBI. But no sweat. I'm Indian all the way, and I'm not going to stop fighting until I die. I know that sooner or later I'm going to be killed. But I hope I'm a good example of a human being for my Micmac tribe. I keep that in mind in all I do. I quit drinking when I left Boston, and I don't smoke grass. I miss my girls so very much. Please save these letters for them.
No, Annie Mae was not actually arrested on a weapons charge there. She was kind of held on that charge, and those charges were never pressed against her. There was, however, a federal hold outstanding against her from Pierre, South Dakota. She had missed an appearance a few weeks before on her weapons charge stemming from the Rosebud raid in September. Annie Mae had missed this court appearance through no fault of her own.
When they took me to the courthouse in Pierre, Judge Marriage scheduled my trial for the next day and said I didn't have to spend the night in jail. So I went with the members of the defense team and everyone who was charged but not in jail to spend the night in the St. Charles Hotel. We realized we were under surveillance. I began to suspect it was only me they were watching. They thought I could lead them to Dennis or Leonard. I knew I'd never get a fair trial if I stayed there. So when I saw my chance, I just walked out of the hotel and down the street.
That's a funny word, going underground. It's like I said, if you want to hide, put it in plain sight. Annie Mae didn't go underground. She was out here working. She was out in plain sight. I guess the authorities who were looking for her for whatever trumped-up charges they had just couldn't figure this out. And so they were looking in the most unlikely places where it could have been. I don't know. Not having that type of mentality. But she was visible. And the day that she was going back to the battlegrounds, the war in South Dakota, she was dressed like any other normal young lady would be dressed to go to travel on an aircraft. She had a nice sweater and a skirt, appropriate shoes and all the different extras. And so we were teasing her about this. Teasing her, she had to be careful about how she stood. Not to be standing around tough because she was wearing a skirt and not jeans anymore. And we just kept on teasing her about it. And on the way to the airport, we had teased her so much that when she got out of the car, she told us that she'd be getting even with us. Well, that's not quite the word she said. She had an adjective that I won't repeat. But all in joking, of course. I wish she could have. Because we never saw her again after that.
Remember, Rosa, that letter that she got after, remember she wasn't even out there the day of the shooting, so remember she got that letter and it had, if you testify, what were they going to do for her?
They're going to give her a different ID.
Yeah, give her a different name and
job and everything, you know, and then
if she testified. And that was just the setup for Annie Mae, and because Annie Mae didn't know nothing, she wasn't even out there that day. And that's how that got started, that she was an informer, and because she wasn't no informer, and everybody knew that. In that letter, they said they'd give her new identification and all that. Shit, Annie Mae didn't want no new identification. Once in, then always in. Be no honking. They should go to the goons and talk like that to the goons. You know, the goons really want to be white people. They'll take the money. Remember the little kids, they used to play cowboys and Indians? Now they play FBI's and Indians. That's what they play, you know.
That was the last person that I thought would get killed was Annie Mae. I was thinking, I mean, why her? I mean, because she's so...
She was good to everybody.
Everybody in.
Like me, like
I still can't understand. How come her looks like she should be alive today?
She never cried about nothing. She's just good-hearted. She's just a good-hearted woman, but she just... I don't know.
She just really... When she was with Nogijik, she really had an unhappy life in it.
She didn't even show it in her eyes. She loved her kids, but she didn't have her kids.
She needed somebody. I mean, I don't know.
And Nogijik wasn't it, and
Nogijik wasn't it.
As Monica said, the idol Dennis Binks was Annie Mae's idol because it was just in her heart to help people. And they were both working for the same cause, and they both thought alike, because they both helped out a lot on it. And they worked together real good.
I think she's so close to Dennis, that's why the FBI's are after her. You know, they're not after anybody else but her, I think.
It's hard to answer when the last time I saw Annie Mae, because I see Annie Mae today in every brave woman, and she represented the struggles that have been going on in the Indian community for centuries. I've often felt that women such as these, you know, are the real warriors. There are thousands of Annie Mae's in the movement.
To us, every nationality in the world has a land base, no matter what nationality. Ours is our reservations. This is what's left of the whole Western Hemisphere. So now that the United States wants to take away our reservation, we're not going to let them. After 500 years of oppression by the United States government, we started a spiritual walk to show them that spirituality is what this country is all about, what the Indians are all about. And for 500 years now, we've sat back, our ancestors and us, and we've watched the civilized world come over here from every nation and try to show the Indians something better than we already had in here. All they've shown us is hate, greed, genocide, rape of our Mother Earth, disease, pollution. They have yet to show us spirituality, something the Indian had in the beginning.